Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Crochet Luna podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from the San Diego area in Southern California, where it is currently 86 degrees, 50%, actually it's 58% humidity, and it's about 4 o'clock. So it is muggy and gross right now. So welcome back. I know it's been about a little over 2 weeks since I last podcasted. I have a lot to talk about. I have show notes, and so let's get started. I've missed you guys. First want to say that I want to address what's happened in our country this past week in Houston and Louisiana, where we had Hurricane Harvey devastate thousands of people's lives. They've lost their homes, they've lost everything they've owned. It seems like everybody's lost a little bit of something during that hurricane. So I just want to say to any of you who are watching, living in the affected areas, that my heart goes out to you. I hope that you can recover soon, and that there's lots of people praying for good things to come your way. I came across a post on Facebook, and it was something that was reposted by, I believe, Jody from the Grocery Girls, and it's for a sort of like it's a Ravelry group that was started to help those knitters and crocheters who have lost their stash, to help them regain a little bit of that back. Now, in light of the seriousness of what's happened in our country in those areas, it might seem like you have bigger issues to worry about than replacing some yarn. But as you and I know very well, our stash, our yarn, our craft is part of who we are. So I cannot imagine how devastated some of you are, knowing that you've probably lost your collection of yarn, your projects, your hooks, your needles, everything. So I thought this was a really wonderful cause that was put together by the people who are moderating and created the Ravelry page. Now, the one that I looked into is called Knit To for Texas. It is a page that was founded by Amy of Mama's Little Monkeys on Instagram. If you go and search on Ravelry, search the group section for Knit Two Together for Texas, and you can find there a form if you would like to donate a skein of yarn to someone who has lost their yarn in those affected areas. You can be a knitter or a crocheter, it doesn't matter. I filled out the form. It's a Google Doc. There's a link in one of the group's tabs there for it, and you'll come across a form that looks something like this. And basically you fill out your name, your email address, and what you're willing to donate. You know, yarn, at least one skein, yarn tools, stitch markers, scissors, hooks, needles, project bags, or any or all of the above. So you can fill this document out, and then I'm assuming someone will contact me with the address of someone that I can send something to. They say don't send anything until you hear from them, because obviously the infrastructure of Houston and those affected areas has been greatly impacted, and maybe mail delivery services isn't even up and running. So I just thought I'd pass this information on to anyone who would like to help out a fellow crocheter or knitter that has lost their yarn. There's also another I guess program that you can look into, run by the lovely people at the Lemonade Shop. If you go onto the Lemonade Shop page, you will see a Harvey donation tab that you can click, and that also has what they're looking for, and sort of like where you can, if you've lost your stash, where you can put your information. And for them, It's, I think, more of like only yarn. They're only really looking for yarn. A third option, if you'd like to help, actually that's not, a third option, actually I don't know if it's still an option. I'm not sure, because I went on the IG account to see, and they had already posted something about a donation that was made, was by the indie dyer Lolo Did It. If you go on to the Lolo Did It website, and I will put the links for all of this if you're interested, they've already donated, it looks like $26,000 to the American Red Cross Harvey Fund, and I believe they raised that money because they dyed a color to help out this cause. So check those out if you're interested. I just thought I'd pass that information on to you. I haven't really heard anybody talking about it. I know it doesn't seem like it's much based on all the devastation and the losses a lot of you have sustained if you're in those areas, but if having some yarn in your hand and your tool to create something helps you, I say I'm all for it, and I'm more than happy to help. So there's that. So let's get to the meat and bones of this. I shouldn't say that because I don't eat meat anymore. So let's get to the root of this episode. It's called Oh Boy. And let me tell you, it's been a pretty rough couple of weeks for me. I am, as you know, if you've seen my past episodes, I suffer from rheumatoid arthritis. It's very, very aggressive. I am on all kinds of medications just to actually be able to function. But I have done a couple lifestyle changes, which I can talk about if you guys want. It includes diet and some other things. But one of them is I'm trying to wean off prednisone, which is a corticosteroid. It's a steroid that's given for many reasons. It just, it helps with the inflammation, it helps to suppress the immune system. But one of the side effects is that your body becomes very dependent on it. So when you're trying to get off of it, it is one of the drugs that you cannot cut cold turkey, or you will end up in the emergency room. So I've been trying to wean off with the steroid, and I got to a pretty low dose before my body basically shut down last Thursday. And I started to feel it coming, and I thought maybe, it won't be so bad and I can get over it. I can finally be off of this. But no, by Friday afternoon, I was pretty messed up, and so I ended up spending Friday and Saturday and Sunday in bed, unable to move, unable to walk. At one point I couldn't really walk because every joint in my body basically triggered a flare, and so I was pretty miserable. I have an appointment to see my doctor this week, so I'm going to see what other methods I can use to get off of the prednisone, because it has a lot of side effects, and I just am trying to manage my arthritis in a little bit different now. I'm in a little different way now. So, side note, so I'm all jacked up basically. And what do I do when I can't crochet? I try and find podcasts I haven't seen and binge watch, and that's what I do. But it was funny because I had watched an episode of the Grocery Girls podcast, and I sometimes I like to go through the comments just to see what people have to say, what kind of things stood out. And I saw a comment by someone who said, I'm not really a knitter, I'm a crocheter, but I really like your show, which is me, really, because I don't knit. Like, I don't knit at all. And so I love watching them. They always put a smile on my face. I really enjoy looking at the yarn, because if you want to see some beautiful yarn, that's one of the podcasts to go see beautiful yarn. So, but I was intrigued because, I run searches on YouTube all the time to see if there's any new crochet podcasts popping up or things of that nature, and this particular podcast was nowhere near my radar. When I went looking for his channel, I noticed he had been he has been putting up videos for quite a while. To date, as of today, I think there's 24 videos. And so it was surprising that he never came up in my searches, and I didn't know why, so I clicked on the first one. I don't know how you guys like to binge watch your episodes, but what I like to do is, if I find someone I like, I'll usually you know, watch a bit of a current episode, and if it looks like it's something that's going to interest me, I'll go back to like episode 1. I don't care if episode 1 was 5 years ago. I'll go back to episode 1 and then I'll just watch all of them, because I love to see the transition and the metamorphosis a lot of us have from like our first episode, which honestly, going back, I can't even look at my first episode. So I went and I saw the first episode, and it was interesting in that I didn't know there was other guys crocheting out there and podcasting about crochet. I know there's knitters out there, male knitters out there who podcast, but no crocheters. So the name of the podcast is called Hand Me Downs, and the gentleman's name is Gerard, and I really like Gerard's channel. And it's so funny because when he introduces himself, he's gonna give you 3 names, and you'll find out why he's gonna give you those 3 names. So he's got this very interesting logo, because you know me, like, I'm so freaking nosy, like I want to know everything. So like after like I think episode 5, I was on Instagram, you know, sending him messages. I'm like, what's up with your logo? What does that mean? What does hand-me-downs mean? What is this? I don't know. I should have been a reporter, I think, because I would have been a good reporter. So I contacted Gerard, and he very kindly got back to me, and he explained to me that his podcast is sort of in honor of his mother, who sounds like she was an incredible crafter, sewer, knitter, crocheter, and his great aunt. And he was taught to knit by his mom, but you know, it's like I'm trying to teach my daughter to crochet, and she's just really is not into it. But who's to say, you know, when she's older that she won't come back to it? He was exposed to the crafty life from very early on. He's one of 7 siblings. He's number 4 in line. And he talks about how basically, you know, he lived this life where his clothing was handed down to him, but very lovingly, because, you know, the mom would alter it. So that's why his podcast is called Hand Me Downs. I don't want to put any words in his mouth. If you're interested, you can go watch, and he explains it to you why he named his podcast that. The other thing that's incredibly intriguing to me and fascinating is that he was a monk for 12 years. He was a monk in a monastery, and I find that fascinating. I come from a Catholic background. My family, we are practicing Catholics, and he talks about some religious themes in his podcast. I don't want to put you off. I think there's nothing that he talks about that's offensive or in any way off-putting, in my opinion, but I come from that background, so to me, to hear him talk about his Catholic roots and his Catholic upbringing and his time in a monastery is really lovely. It's one of the reasons I watch. I really enjoy it, but don't think that there's anything controversial in anything he said, and he promotes a very kind way of living, kindness to each other. And I just want to say, Gerard, I love your podcast. And he was my buddy last weekend, because I couldn't do anything but raise my head, really, and he kept me company. So I enjoy watching his journey. It's such joy that I see when he talks about, you know, going into his craft store and always blaming his friend Wendy. Come on, you can't just always blame Wendy, Gerard. before enabling him to go to the craft store. I wish I had a Wendy in my life. I would be at the craft store all the time. But he bought like a weaving loom, and he's weaving and he is spinning, and he is finding such great joy in these things, as if, well, some of it he's just doing it for the first time, you know. So I love it. I really enjoy it, and I would encourage you to go and check it out and spend some time with Gerard. You'll see an incredible transformation from episode 1 to episode 2. It's like night and day. It's like 2 different people. But I won't spoil it. Just go check them out. And then, if that wasn't enough, I saw a post on Instagram a while back, and they tagged me. Someone who I'd never heard about tagged me that they were putting up their episode 1. And, you know, I'm always about trying to find new crochet podcasts. So I checked it out. I was blown away. This kid is 23 years. Are you 23? You're in your early 20s. Early 20s. He's a nursing student in Texas. His name's Quaylen. The name of his podcast is The Quo Podcast. He's doing some really interesting crochet stuff. He's designing, he's trying to design, he's got his first pattern out, and he's running his podcast, I believe from his bedroom, but you know how you see my stash in the back? What you see in the back of his podcast is books, because he's super into books. But he has a different flavor to his crocheting and his podcasting and what he talks about. You'll have to check it out to see if it's something that you would be interested in, because I love it. He has I think 3 episodes so far, and I love his book recommendations and the stuff that he likes. I'm interested in. But you know, I love to see young people getting into crochet. I love it. To getting into design, and I love seeing the guys come in and join the group. You know, we are predominantly female oriented in our craft, but I think if we can welcome these guys who just want to crochet along with us, why not? Let's have some fun. Let's look at a different perspective. As I said, Quaylen is designing, and he has put out his first design, which I think is beautiful. It's a cable scarf. I told him he's going to end up being our cable guru, because he loves to work with cables. And this particular design was inspired by a book that he read, The Great Comet of 1812, which I have not read, and it's called The Dust and Ashes Scarf. And that's Quaylen modeling the scarf, if you can see that. This is done in 2 tones, or as he says, you can do it in 1 tone, and it would be beautiful. I believe if you go on his IG account, which is Portfolio, I'll spell it so you can find it. You'll see different versions of the scarf, and he did have this pattern tested. This is a paid-for pattern, but I'm all about supporting anybody who wants to design, and so rather than lump this into Pattern Palooza, I just wanted to share with you. And he has offered a free copy of this pattern to someone from the Crochet Luna podcast. So I will put a thread in my Ravelry group and a little prompt. And so if you're interested in winning the Dust and Ashes scarf by Quaylen, let's do it. Let's give him some support, not only for his podcast, but for his new design. And speaking of book recommendations, Quaylen was talking about how, I'm sorry, I'm just like dripping sweat. It's so gross, you guys. It's just so hot and muggy in here. So I'm trying to keep the makeup from not just sliding off. He's talking about his favorite book, which is a book that I've heard about, and one of my favorite versions of this book is a I think 43 or 45 movie, black and white movie that I've watched. And so when he said the name of the book, I was like, oh yeah, I know that, but you know what, I've never read the book. And he was talking about how this was his favorite book, and it's Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And I'm going to show you how I read my books when I actually read books. I have a tablet. I have a nice big Samsung tablet. I have Amazon Kindle downloaded to my tablet, to my computer, to my phone. But my favorite way of reading it is in an actual Kindle. And I have one of the first Kindles that came out, and I love it because it was a gift from my husband. So this is how I read my books. I'm going to show you my old black and white Kindle. I love it. So it's Picture of Dorian Gray. This costs 99 cents on Amazon. I downloaded it on Amazon for 99 cents, and I've started reading it, and I love it. I love it. It's fascinating because the beginning of this particular version of the book has some history on Oscar Wilde and a little biography on him, which I thought was fascinating. But I'm going to read this in September, and then I'm going to work on a shawl inspired by Picture of Dorian Gray. The pattern that I'm going to use is a pattern I've already talked about. It's an Addie Day design pattern called 3 Springs. Look at how beautiful that is. And I posted a picture on Instagram yesterday of the yarns that I'm going to use. So it's going to be my woofy wool in a brown tonal. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Which is funny because when I photographed it and I looked at the picture, I'm like, that looks kind of suspect. But Heidi got a kick out of that. So this is my brown tonal, and then I'm going to use this one from Goosey Fibers called Wizarding Wheezies. I don't know if I showed this before, but look at all these colors. Look at that blue. Isn't that pretty? Sorry, I keep looking at my mirror behind to make sure that I'm showing these well. I'm also podcasting on a very overcast day, so my apologies if the lighting is crap. And then I'm using this one as my third color, which is another Wizarding Wheezies. Look at that. Look at those colors. Isn't that beautiful? So my 3 Springs is going to be these colors right here. I thought those worked out. I thought these worked out really well, and there's enough contrast here to really make things pop. So this is going to be my Portrait of Dorian Gray shawl. I'm also going to include my Portrait of Dorian Gray shawl in Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast in her September shawl along. That's a KAL that she's hosting. That started September 1st. The rule, I think the only rule she has is that it has to be a new project. It can't be something that you were working on. You had to start the project September 1st and on. So this is going to be for my September shawl along for men who are part of our community that I've talked about one before, which is Rohn Strong. You know him as the author of the sock book, the Step Into Crochet, and he has other pattern. He's got like 200. What did I say? There's 248 patterns on Ravelry that he's designed, and he's designed for all the magazines. And I think he's working on another book now. But yes, So Ron is another male designer. He started podcasting, but he hasn't put an episode up in a little bit. But he's incredibly active on Instagram. Almost every day you can see Ron on one of the Instagram stories. So he's very much active if you want to see Ron and what he's up to. He's got this great dog he's got a dog and a cat, and they're super cute. And then Gerard from the Hand Me Downs podcast has two kitties, Bunty and Toby. And Toby likes to video bomb Gerard's podcasts all the time. Super cute. So then I also came across, and I think it was Quaylen who mentioned this other designer, Benjamin Crudwig. I'm going to spell it, and I'm sorry, Benjamin. I've completely butchered your name because that's what I do. Also, he does weaving and crochet and knit. And he's got a bunch of videos on his YouTube channel, one of which I think is incredibly interesting. It's a series to crochet a top-down raglan sweater. So with this back-to-school sweater, Cal, that's happening, if you wanted to do something with a tutorial that will yield you a sweater in the end, this might be something to check out. It's in, I think, 9 parts, and he takes you through. I only saw the first 2 videos. So if you're interested in some support to make your sweater, this might be something you want to check out. I came across a new designer these past couple of weeks. Her name is Tony, and her Instagram account is TL Yarn Crafts. She has an Etsy shop, and she's put out a really nice design that I'll talk about in a little bit. But one of the things that she talks about on which is really cool. So on Wednesdays, she goes live and she answers questions, and she's been an incredible source of information. I really enjoy watching Tony's videos. If you have a chance and you subscribe to her Instagram, you'll see when she goes live, and she just is one to share knowledge, and I love that. And she touched on something that I thought was really interesting, and that's the lack of quality designs for men in crochet. And she said, you know, that is something that is wide open. If somebody could start designing some good patterns for men, you know, that would be great, because actually I went on Ravelry to look for patterns for crochet for men. It's not good. It's not good. Some of it is nice, but I mean, I asked my husband if he'd want me to crochet him some boxers, and he said nope. I mean, there's a couple things on there that are so not my cup of tea. And I thought that was interesting that even though we have men like Ron or Benjamin who are men, they're primarily designing for women. And I think it's interesting if you could find someone who would be willing to take the challenge and start designing some incredible crochet patterns for men, because we have dads, we have sons, we have uncles, we have grandpas. I would love to crochet something for my husband, but the stuff that I showed him, out of everything I showed him, there was only one pattern that he thought maybe he would wear. Where if you look for women's patterns, I mean, there's gazillions of them. I also found through the Grocery Girls a podcaster who's male, 100% knitter. I haven't seen any crochet, but I've only seen a couple episodes. But he is so full of joy and happiness. You cannot. I challenge you to sit and watch an episode and not laugh, because he brings such joy. It just comes through his episodes, and that is Levi of the WTF Knitting Podcast. He is, I want to say he's in Canada, but I don't have that detail. He has been knitting for a while, and he's made some really beautiful shawls. The one thing I took away from episode 1 is he showed a bag, and the company is a UK-based company, and I jumped right away. Mind you, his episode 1 was months and months and months ago, so I was hoping there would be something in the Etsy store that I could buy, and I was lucky enough, and there was. This particular bag is from a company called QBS Not for Profit, and this particular bag maker is Denise, and she makes bags where she's not trying to make any money on the bag. What she does is she deducts her costs for shipping and materials and donates the proceeds of every bag that she makes to cancer research in the UK. And when you get her bag, she will put on this. Not only does she include stitch markers, but she will put on this note. The note says, "Thank you for your order, Claudia. I've donated £5 from the sale to cancer research in the UK." And then you get these two little stitch markers. One is the ribbon, and then one is like a little shamrock. Yeah, you guys know how hard it is to show these little stitch markers because they move around. And here's the bag. Isn't that fabulous? I love it. And actually this, I'm pretty certain this is Italian, and it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I only know that because that was on the Etsy description. Here's the back of the bag. So this is a pretty large bag. It will hold a lot of yarn, and I'll be using this bag for the yarn that I'm going to show you for one of my projects that I'm going to start soon. But yes, this is QBS Not for Profit. Profits of the sale of this bag go to cancer research in the UK. And I'll tell you this, purchasing this bag with shipping included was less expensive than some of the bags that I've purchased here with minimal shipping expense in the States. So altogether I paid about $18 for this bag, which is pretty good. Alright, so let's move on to some works in progress. As you know, if you have followed me on Instagram, I have been a finishing machine. I had a goal that I was going to finish all of my old lingering projects by September 1st because I did not want to start the fall season with a bunch of old projects hanging out. And I reached my goal. Yes, I did. I am beyond the moon. I am so happy that I was able to finish everything that I did. It's such a sense of accomplishment to set a goal and to reach that goal. So I finished everything, but that meant that I really couldn't work on anything that I had started previously. But I'll show you what I was able to do. It's not much. So I'm working on my Urban Stripes shawl, which is a pattern by Rosina of the Zines and Roger podcast. And the last time I showed it to you, I had just stopped right there. I believe there's a stitch marker. Yeah. This is my stitch marker. I got this from Catherine at Crafternoon Treats. This is my little sheepy sheep. This is where I showed you I was at. I was able to put in some striping. And that's about it. But I totally screwed up this pattern. It's all on me, Rosina. all on me. Because it's such a comfortable crochet where, you know, you're just crocheting, right? So I thought I had the repeat right, the decrease right. I was 10 stitches from finishing the scarf. And guess what happened? I look at it and it doesn't look like a triangle. It looks like a square with the start, I don't know, like a slope. I don't know where I went wrong. I didn't even notice. I didn't even stop to think about anything. I just kept crocheting. I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish this for the next podcast. Nope. Had to frog it all up because I screwed up on my decreasing. Okay? I totally screwed it up. But that's okay. I mean, it happens. So this is where I'm at now. And I will now properly do my decreases. So that is living in a most fabulous bag that I got as a gift. My friend Angelica and her husband went to Mexico City for their anniversary because these people are crazy. They do like hot balloon rides over San Diego for their anniversary. I'm lucky if I get thrown a Snickers bar and a Coke, but that's okay. Not complaining. I love my husband. He's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. But Angie and Armando like to do things big. So they went to Mexico City, and they know how much I am a huge Frida Kahlo fan. Angelica is also a big, huge Frida Kahlo fan. So they went to the museum, Diego Rivera's museum, and there's a Mistress Museum. Hello. She sent me a text, and she's like, oh, we're going to go to the Diego Rivera Mistress Museum to check out the art collection. I'm like, what? Well, if you know any history on Diego Rivera, I'm surprised there isn't 50 Mistress Museums around Mexico. But she sent me these amazing pictures of art that I have not seen, and I've seen a lot of I have seen a lot of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera art. But she brought me back this bag, you guys. Look at this bag. It's got Frida's galore. I love it. So my urban striped shawl is living in this amazing Frida bag that I got from my friend Angelica. Moving on to what I'm going to start. I am so excited about starting my next two projects. One of them is the Layula wrap. That is a pattern that's put out by Emma of the Potter and Bloom podcast. She is running a KAL, the Cake KAL, hashtag Cake KAL, and it started September 1st, and it's going to run through October 31st. I ordered my yarn from Cake Flower. It is amazing. Look at that hotness. Yes. Look at that hotness. Cotton flower. This is 3-ply, which is, I don't think I've ever crocheted with anything this thin. You can see the plies. There's three little plies in there. But it's beautiful, and I can't wait to get started. The next one that I'm going to start is going to be my second pair of socks. I haven't finished my first pair, but that's going to be something that I want to work on this week, and then I will be starting my second pair of socks, which is going to be the sock blank that I talked to you about from Goosey Fiber's Family Reunion. Look at that cuteness! I just love this sock blank. Love it. So I'm going to start my second pair of socks with this blank, and I will talk about that more on the Sock It To Me segment that I'm going to do later. Let's move on, since I just talked about my sock blank, into Sock It To Me. Now, if you've seen the podcast before, you know I've got a pair of socks that I'm working on, which are the Gorman Street Socks by Rohn Strong. I've got the one done, and I talked about how I was able to resolve the issue with the cuff, and I started sock number 2 here, which I'm pretty confident that I'll get this done this week, because this is my priority. I'm prioritizing finishing up my socks so that I can start my second pair of socks. So my second pair of socks is going to be still from the Step Into Crochet book, and it's going to be the Beltine Cuff-Down Socks, which is these right here. The reason I want to try the Beltine socks is because my Gorman Street are toe up, and the Beltine is cuffed down. So I thought this would be a good way to test out what method works better for me. So that's the Beltine Cuff-Down Socks that I'm going to be starting shortly after I finish my Gorman Street socks. So I'm excited about that. But you guys have been so incredible on that Sock It To Me thread. I cannot thank you enough. I know that I'm not as active as I should be, but there are some core people in that group that are just amazing. And as you well know, Tamara from Crafty Escapism is our resident sock guru, and there have been so many lovely people contributing to that thread that I decided it was time to pick a winner to give a little prize to. So I've picked the winner, and it is Angel, and her Rav name is Angel Phillip. So Angel, contact me. Well, I'll send you a message. Look around Ravelry, and you are welcome to choose any pattern up to $6 that you want, and I will gift that to you as a thank you for your participation in the Sock It To Me thread. Yay! I love giving stuff away. I'm like the kind of person, like, I love giving. I love it. I love putting gifts together and baskets and gifts and giving. But you give me something and I don't even know what to do with myself. Like, I'm like, why are they giving me stuff? I'm a giver. I'm not a good receiver. I don't know why. I've always been that way. I get such joy from giving things to people, but I'm super crazy awkward when I get gifts. But yes, so that is a little gift for you, Angel. Next, we want to move on to, should we do some acquisitions? I don't have a lot, but I've got one that I really want to share with you guys. Okay, so my husband just got a new car, and I got his old car because my car was really on its last legs. But I don't drive around a lot, so I don't need a new car. I just need something that will get me around town. And he got this nice car, which eventually down the road will probably be my next car. And so I have his car, and I said, get all the stuff out of this car. It's now mine. I have to cloudify it. I have to put all my stuff so this now becomes Claudia's car. And he's been driving around with this like generic license plate from like when he bought it at the dealership. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be me. I can't do that. So I went to Cafe Express. I don't know if you've heard of them. Cafe Express. And you can type in all kinds. I typed in crochet license plate. And I got this. granny square license plate. This is my license plate. This is my license plate. So yeah, I'm going to be putting this in my car. And I got a sticker, but I couldn't find the sticker. And it says, Peace, Love, Crochet. And it's really cute. It's one of the things that Selena Baca, who's a crochet designer here in the States, always says. She always will tell you, as in closing any of her videos, she'll say, Peace, Love, Crochet. And I think that's wonderful. So I found a sticker that said that. But I can't show it to you because I have no idea where it is. But this is going on my car. And I love it. So I remember where I put the sticker. And I found it. So I want to show it to you. Peace, Love, Crochet. Love that. So this is going to go in my car. I'm not a big bumper sticker person, but I just wanted to put my little stamp on my car. So this is going to go on the car. And again, it's from Cafe Press. So cute. Okay, so then, like I said, I've been watching these new guys podcasting, and Quaylen told a story of how he acquired this. He's into like crochet history. And actually, I did a little research, like long time ago about it, but I didn't really, it wasn't anything serious. But he talked about a book that he wanted that has a lot of crochet history. And when I hear about things like that, I'm always like, I want to get my hands on it, because I know, for crochet, it's difficult to trace its roots. I mean, what we call crochet, really, it's like mid-19th century, where you can talk about like the modern way of crocheting. But people have been using crochet methods for a long time. So to document the history of it, I think, has been difficult, because tools haven't really survived. If it's made out of a natural fiber, that hasn't survived. So he found a book that was written by someone we probably all know, and that's Annie Potter. And she is, I believe, also the person who created the Annie Attic company, where you get the books, and Annie's Attic is what I want to say. But it's Annie Louise Potter, and the book is called A Living Mystery, International Art and History of Crochet. I don't know that there's another book out there that has the depth and the details, and has tried to put together a comprehensive history of our craft. I think this is the book. And here's an oh-so 80s picture of Annie. But it is fascinating. It is fascinating. I read little bits here and there, and I just love it. I love reading about just the way that modern crochet has developed, and sort of its roots, its roots in Ireland, its roots in France, and things like that. So I will show you one picture that I love. It's a Bronze Age hairnet. And if you look at the image up close, those look like double crochets to me, people. Double crochets. Yeah. But that's from a museum in Denmark. So yes, this was my other acquisition. I got this off of Amazon. And it was not expensive. I think I paid $15 for it. I have an Amazon Prime membership, so it was free. No, you know what? I bought this from an independent seller on Amazon, so I think the shipping was like $3 something. I don't know. I don't remember the details of it, but I did get it from Amazon. But yeah, this is something that I'm also reading little bits here and there. And then I went to Michael's because, you know, come on. And I walked in to, I almost had a heart attack. They had like this little tent shop, pop-up shop looking thing, and it had all types of manner of Karen cakes. If you saw my post on Instagram, you will have seen some of the stuff. I just fell in love with these Karen cupcakes. I'll give you the details of it. It is 100% acrylic. The pom-pom is 100% acrylic. 3 ounces, 85 grams for 244 yards. This particular color is the color Strawberry Kiwi Top. Then I also purchased Strawberry Pie. And I also purchased, this is Mint Smoothie. Oh my God, look at these colors. Look at these colors. How cute is that? And then, you know, talking about like this whole crocheting for men, how we don't have a lot of stuff out there, patterns and things like that. I also found this one that I think would be perfect for like my son, or, you know, as a gift for a guy. Look at that. Isn't that perfect? This color is called Nougat. So there's that one. There's a close-up of that one. There's a close-up of that one. And it comes with a pattern for that hat, which I think is perfect. What I'm hoping to do is to crochet all of these little Karen cupcakes into hats and give those out as Christmas presents at $4.99 US. It's USD. $5 for a hat with all this beautiful color, I think is a great gift. So that was that. And then they also had these ginormous Karen cakes. I mean, huge. I didn't get those because I'm not looking to crochet with that size yarn. I believe it was like a super bulky. But I did grab a sprinkle cake, which is this one right here. Look at that. Could you die? I love it. I just love all these little flecks of color. I mean, this is super bulky too. I mean, this is huge. This is a number 6. Number 6, super bulky, yeah. But look at that. I just fell in love with that. I think this would make, oh, and the pattern, look at the crochet pattern. It's for a KAL. I'm thinking I'm just going to make the pattern on these things. Let's see how it goes. This should work up pretty quick. We do the details of it. It is 8.5 ounces, 240 grams, approximately 204 yards. 100% acrylic, I believe. No, I lied. This is 77% acrylic, 20% wool, and 3% other fiber. And I'm assuming the other fiber are the little, you know, the little flecks that you see there. So that's your Karen sprinkle cakes. Moving on to some KAL news. I am super excited to bring you 2 KALs you have not heard about. One of them you might have picked up a hint of in Hannah's, not the last podcast, but the one previous to that, where she talked about a possible Tunisian crochet KAL that we would be co-hosting. And we have been working out the details, and we're bringing to you the super simple Tunisian KAL. The reason I reached out to Hannah when she started talking about Tunisian crochet is because I saw a shawl or wrap, if you want to call it, that I fell in love with. And it is in Crochet Magazine. It's the one on the cover. That's Tunisian crochet. It's a one skein crescent shawl. And I saw this and I thought, oh my God, we all have these one skeins of beautiful yarn hanging out. And how wonderful to be able to make something like this. It's just a one skein project. And it's called the one skein crescent shawl. It's Tunisian crochet, but the difficulty level is a level 5. And I feel like for someone who's never done Tunisian crochet like myself, that I can't just tackle this because I'll rip my hair out. I needed to start somewhere very basic, very small. So I said to Hannah, why don't we make dishcloths? She made those with her craftsy class, and it helped her to build her skill. And now she's making these incredible Tunisian shawls. I mean, if you have not seen Hannah's podcast and the mad talent that girl has to make beautiful shawls, you need to go look, because what she's creating is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really happy that she's co-hosting this with me. And the format that we decided to do this with is that we are each going to choose 2 Tunisian stitches to make a dishcloth. I will choose 2 and host that thread on my Ravelry page. She will choose 2 and then she will host those on her Ravelry page. So there'll be a WIP and an FO for both of our Ravelry groups. I was fortunate enough that I found 2 dishcloths that not only have one, I think they're both free patterns. Both of them are free patterns. They also have video tutorials. And those are put on by Mikey from the Crochet Crowd. So the first one is Tunisian Simple Stitch dishcloth, which is this one right here. So this one not only is a free pattern, but it has a free tutorial on YouTube. And like I said, once we solidify all of our details, we'll present it to you before the start date. And then we don't think this is going to be something that's going to take too long. It's just what our goal is, that you'll end up with 4 dishcloths that maybe you can bundle together and give as a Christmas gift to someone, because I think that's what I'll be doing. But then I came across Crochet Now magazine. This is the latest edition of Crochet Now magazine, which has a lot of Tunisian crochet in it. And it comes with a free 6mm hook, which I was going to go buy. So it comes with the free hook. This should be long enough to make the dishcloth. So I'm really happy that I got this. But then, I want to make that really complicated. I want to make that really complicated Tunisian shawl I showed you from Crochet magazine. But then I saw this. That is a Tunisian sampler scarf. So it's got all of these different Tunisian crochet stitches that you can practice and learn, and in the end you end up with the scarf. And I thought, maybe this, after I make the dishcloths, I'll make the scarf and then I'll move on to the shawl. That's my 3-step process. And it also came with, so Crochet Now magazine came as a package. It came with this magazine, this booklet, and the hook, which I thought that was a really great deal. So this is the Tunisian crochet little booklet that you get. And in it, surprisingly enough, or maybe not surprisingly enough, is the same dishcloth pattern that I just showed you, which is this one right here. So this is the same simple stitch dishcloth pattern that I showed you. The other video is also by Mikey, and it's for the knit stitch. So Crochet Luna podcast on Ravelry will have videos, we'll have the two patterns to do a simple stitch and a knit stitch. And then Hannah is solidifying her choices for two more advanced stitch patterns for two other additional dishcloths. So I hope I haven't confused you. But that is a KAL that we will be co-hosting, and it will start October 1st and end on October 31st. Hashtag will be hashtag SST-KAL, Super Simple Tunisian KAL. So I am so excited about that because I have been wanting to try Tunisian crochet, and really when I started watching the Crochet Circle podcast with Faye, they were already into their Tunisian crochet shawl, which honestly was way too advanced for me. I don't think I didn't feel comfortable enough to just jump right into something like that. So I think this KAL will be great for anybody who wants to dip their toes in Tunisian crochet. Now, in terms of yarn, I have a nice selection of yarn. Most people can find this is the Sugar and Cream, and all of this yarn that I'm about to show you I've had in stash for a long time. The Sugar and Cream stripe, which is, that's really pretty. It's got different colors in it. I also, this is one I showed you before. This is a cotton cake. That's really pretty. Then I found a Isaac Mizrahi cotton yarn. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, there we go. This one I found at Michael's, and it was like super on sale. I don't even remember how much I paid for it, but I cleared them out of all they had. And then, of course, there's Knit Picks Cotton. This is a cotton and linen mix, which is 70% Tangi cotton and 30% linen. That's this one right here. And this comes in a lot of colors. I just happened to order, this is from a previous order to Knit Picks. I ordered a bunch of this because I wanted to make some crochet dishcloths, but now it's going to be Tunisian crochet dishcloths. But so yes, there's a lot of variety in cottons that you can choose from. But all of this is from stash. I'm not going out to buy any more cotton to do that. The next KAL I want to talk to you about that I'm really excited about is a KAL that I will be co-hosting with Jo, who is JoJo Twinkle Toes on Instagram and on Ravelry. And it was inspired by Lisa of Lisa Pine Notes. Back in July, and it was like late July, Lisa posted a picture on her Instagram of a sweater that she was working on that I had seen, because I receive Simply Crochet magazine in digital form every month, and I had seen this pattern and I loved it. I'm like, I have to make it. And usually when I'm okay with the digital copy of the magazine, it's great. I don't like to work from my tablet or from my computer, but you cannot print digital copies of these magazines, and I can see why. They don't want people printing 1,000 copies and giving them out for free. But if I find enough patterns in the magazine that I want to make, I'll go buy the magazine. So I saw Lisa's from Lisa Pine Notes on Instagram, her post about this sweater, and I went out and bought the magazine. And then JoJo and I were going back and forth, and we're like, let's host a KAL for this. So we are, and it's for the Heads Up pattern. In Simply Crochet magazine issue 59, which is this one right here. How cool is this sweater? I have to make the sweater. I have to. I am so in love with this pattern. And so she's made it. Lisa has made one. And JoJo, of course, because she's like a crochet machine, made one for her daughter. Check out her Instagram on, check out the post on Instagram of the sweater that she made for her daughter. It's gorgeous. And what's really cool about the design is that you can also just flip it and wear the skull in the back and just wear it plain in the front, which I think is a great idea. So she and I are going to be co-hosting this KAL. It's going to start September 29 and it's going to go through October 31st, because if you want to wear it for Halloween, you should be able to wear that sweater for Halloween. And we feel like, you know, 4 weeks would be a good amount of time to work on that sweater. I'm probably going to dip with the back to school sweater with this pattern, even though I have been looking for other sweater patterns. I think because of everything else that I have going on, I don't want to get too crazy, and I do want to participate in the back to school sweater KAL that Tamara and Helen are hosting. So that's going to be hashtag KAL to make the skull sweater. I will put I'll start a thread on Ravelry. JoJo will be able to moderate, and she reached out to me the other day, and she's going to work on trying to get us some goodies for that crochet along. Like I said, that was Simply Crochet Issue 59. One of the issues is that you cannot buy that pattern unless you buy the magazine. But as I was telling Joe, I said, you know, if you go on Ravelry and you click on the pattern, because you'll find the pattern there, it takes you to the Simply Crochet website. I'm not sure, so if somebody does this, please get back to me. I believe you can purchase a digital copy of the whole magazine. I know for us it's $4.99. I don't know what that would be in the UK. I think you could purchase a copy of the magazine and then you would get a hold of the pattern. But I haven't done that because I have a digital subscription to this magazine, so I get it every month. If you do that, can you please let me know and see if that's possible to help out anybody who is interested in joining the KAL and making that sweater. So that's it for KALs. Also, don't forget that Clarissa Beth is hosting the Spotting Clouds KAL, which is going to run, oh, it already started October 21st and it runs through September, no, I'm lying, October 14th. So August 21st through October 14th, Clarissa Beth of Crochet Cakes is running her Spotting Clouds Top KAL, which is a pattern designed by Christina Hattering, and her hashtag is Spotting Clouds Top, and I'll put that information so that you can see it. You guys are coming off of a crochet filled summer with so many incredible projects for, you know, if you participated in the Festival of Finishing, that, you know, we gotta hit the ground running, people. I mean, Christmas is like there. It's knocking. It's looking at me. It's saying, what have you done, Claudia, to get ready for Christmas? And so we've got to hit the ground running so that we can get ready for Christmas and enjoy the fall season, where we can wear our cold weather makes and make our scarves and our sweaters and all this good stuff. So it is a fun season. I am so looking forward to it, to using a new color palette, new yarns. I hope you guys are having fun with that as well. Having just finished talking about the KALs, I wanted to talk about Festival of Finishing, and I want to thank Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast for putting together an amazing project. I feel like the summer would not have been the same without Festival of Finishing. It really pushed me to get all of my old projects out and to finish them, and I don't know that that would have happened this summer had it not been for that KAL, or craft along. And on top of that, money was raised for a good cause. Money was raised for Knit for Peace. And I'm so honored and happy that I can help out in any small way that I can. I want to also give a big shout out to Helen. She is co-hosting the Back to School Sweater KAL with Tamara. She is Helen Eccles 1 on Instagram, and she is the one that put us at 150 finished items. If you follow Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast on Instagram, you will have seen her Insta story where she posted live that we had got there, and I was jumping up and down. I was like, yay! I was so happy that we did that, because not only did we finish our old projects, but we raised money for a good cause. And so big shout out to Helen for getting us through that finish line. For me, Festival of Finishing was a pretty big deal. I mean, I stopped working on everything, and I did not, as many patterns as you guys saw me show on Pattern Palooza, and as many patterns as you guys know that I like to show on my podcast, I couldn't make any of them. The only new thing I started was Rosina's pattern, but that's because I just had to start making that. But everything else, I had to really pull the reins back and have some self-discipline, because I wanted to finish up everything, and I did finish everything up, and I'm really happy about it. Here, I'll show you my, this is my super chunky KAL that had the gazillion ends. I finished that, no more ends. Really happy about that. All my mandalas that I showed, no more ends on my mandalas. And someone had a really good tip for me that I might end up using. See, there's no more. This one actually I'm gifting to my mom. She was going to be putting it in her house, which is amazing, because my mom's not, she appreciates the effort that goes into crocheting, but she's not one to be like, oh yeah, that's great. She's not one to be like, give me that, I want to put it in my house, or I want to wear that. But it's funny, because she really, when she gravitates to something, she really is like, I want it. And so she saw this mandala, and she's like, oh yeah, I want that for the house. So this will be going to her house. And then this is my super scrappy one, and this is actually my favorite one. I love scrappy projects, and this is kind of reminds me of the sun. But this one was the one that I told you that I don't know what I was smoking when I made it. Kind of looks like a giant eyeball to me that's a little like hung over, because it's got the little red spot. But someone, and I apologize, I don't remember your name. You left me a comment on the YouTube episode last week, and you said, you should crochet another mandala and make a cushion of it. And I think I'm going to take you up on that tip. I think I'm going to crochet a mandala in this red, so the back of it will be all red, and then I'll just put it together and make a cushion out of this one. So that was all finished, and then my purple blanket, no more ends. So everything got done. I completed 13 projects in total for Festival of Finishing. Out of the 13 projects, only one of them really had major work that needed to be done, which was my granny square poncho. Because when I showed it to you on the previous podcast, it was just basically a basket full of granny squares. All the other projects, I just had to sew in ends, and that was tedious enough. But my granny stitch poncho was something that I started, I want to say last year, and I was super excited to start the project. But I loved making the granny squares. The granny square making was great. The design I had in mind, I was so looking forward to do. But when I went to put together the front half of the poncho, it took me about 8 hours to put together the front half, and it was so tedious. I didn't enjoy it, so then I put it off to the side. But for Festival of Finishing, it was actually the last project. I left it for the very end to put together, and it's actually the project that I am most proud to have finished. The inspiration for the poncho came from a vintage magazine that I have shown before. It is a Women's Day Granny Square magazine. I believe you can find a copy of it on eBay because I did, Melanie from the Melanie Crochet podcast had asked about it, and I did find a copy of it on eBay, so if you're interested, it's a great copy. But I came across this poncho right here. Now you can see that it's in black and white, and you can see that the poncho actually only has 3 squares on top. So when I originally made the squares and I lined up so that it would be 3 squares on top, I just was afraid it wasn't going to fit me because nothing really fits me well because of the boobage. It's as simple as that. I can fit certain clothes, but size wise, but then when it comes to the boobage, it ends up being a no. So I was afraid that just having 3 squares on top wouldn't be enough, so I had to crochet additional squares so that I would have room for it to fit. When I laid down my granny squares to put them together for the back side, I realized I was 3 squares short. So I did crochet 3 additional granny squares. But I'll show you the poncho. This is my granny stitch poncho that I made with 100% acrylic. It is Vanna's Choice yarn. I guess I should tell you the colors, but I don't have the ball bands with me. I will put that information in the show notes so that you know how many squares I made and how what colors I used. But so you see there's like 4 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Where when I did the back, when I joined the back of it, this 1, 2, 3, 4 was way too big. I mean, there was no way it was gonna stay on me. There's no way. So I stopped for a while thinking, well, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna rip apart the front and the back. And this is before oh yeah, I had already seamed it together. Okay, so it was already seamed together. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm not gonna take this whole thing apart to try and reconstruct it. But then I got the idea that when you start a granny stitch shawl, it's a triangle shawl. You start off with a small, stitch. I mean, a small, what do you call it? Well, you start small and you get bigger. So I thought, why don't I do the start of a granny stitch shawl and measure until I get to the point where I can use it and stick it in as a panel to give this the coverage I need in the back in order to be able to wear it. And that's what I did. I just started a granny stitch shawl and I stitched up all the way up to here, and then I was measuring across, and then I joined it at the seams here. So I joined here, and after that it fit better, but the fit was still not good. It was still kind of big and kind of awkward. So I looked for different ways to create an edging, and none of the ones that I saw were gonna work. So I went back and I thought, well, front and back post crochet ribbing has always worked really well in the past with me with other projects, so I'm just going to do a simple front and back post double crochet, and that's what I did in the front. So if you see here, I joined these are the squares joined. I did single crochet, half double crochet front and back post, and on the top I did a single crochet edging. So that's what I did. What I also did, and I picked this up from doing my socks, my Gorman Street socks that needed to bring the cuff in order for it to fit properly. I ended up decreasing stitches single crochet stitches here on the sides. So I would single crochet 3 stitches together. I did that 3 times on each side, and it worked. I mean, it came out really nice. It fits well. For the edging at the bottom, I just did the same thing. It's just all front and back post. I did 1 row of single crochet with the gray, and then I just did double crochet front and back post twice. That's all I did. So this is my poncho. I'm really proud of it. I really like it. And as I was telling you, my mom, who is not someone who gravitates towards crochet, when she saw this, she was like, wow, that's really nice. Not only for the workmanship, she said, but also the colors, and that she really liked it. So that was my proud moment, that she was seeing my crochet in new light, basically. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. And so thank you, Faye, for putting that together. I honestly don't think I would have done this. I would not have finished this project had it not been for Festival of Finishing. So now let's get to some Pattern Palooza. I just like saying that. Pattern Palooza has been a lot of fun. And again, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's participated in Pattern Palooza. You guys have been amazing. I can't thank you enough for commenting and sharing your experiences with these patterns, because you're helping us gather more knowledge. You're helping your community grow. That's the way I see it. The 2 big winners from all the patterns that I showed last episode, was a Divine hat. Many people had made this hat and have nothing but good things to say about this pattern. So I will be hooking up this hat. The Divine hat is a free pattern on Ravelry. I will put, this is not a great picture of it, as you can see, but I will put the link for this pattern again in the show notes. Nothing but good things. Somebody, and I didn't take good notes. I usually like to be able to say the person's name who has contributed to the podcast, and I apologize. I don't have it. I will put it in the show notes. Has made, she said, like over like 100 of these. She's made so many of these. The second one is the Doris Day All shawl. Many people have made this pattern and have had nothing but good things to say about it. Actually, Miss Jan from the Urban Gypsy Crochet podcast has mentioned that she's made this pattern a lot, and that it's been a great pattern because it actually stays on your shoulder. You know how sometimes you'll make a shawl and you put it on and you move around and it just kind of falls off of you? She said the shape of the shawl keeps it on your shoulder, which I think is exactly the kind of tip that we want to learn. We want to learn what's good about the pattern, about the final object, about the final product, and you know how it behaves. So thank you so much to Jan and everybody who contributed to Pattern Palooza review. I do have a winner. I want to reward you guys for participating in the Ravelry group. So I picked a winner from Pattern Palooza. You are welcome to choose a pattern up to $6 for anything you like. I will send you a message. You choose a pattern and you let me know what you want, and it's yours. So the winner for this month's Pattern Palooza review is Mary Grace. She's MG Camacho on Ravelry. So Mary Grace, you'll be getting a Ravelry email from me, and shop away and find a good pattern that you like, and it's yours. So thank you so much again for participating. Next up, we have actual Pattern Palooza, and in honor of the boys who crochet, I guess men who crochet and who are putting their efforts out there to bring us their podcasts, I focus on finding patterns for men. And these, for the most part, I think they're all free patterns. Yes, these are all free patterns I'm going to show you. The first one is called the Beginner Ribbed Crochet Hat Pattern by a blog, Eating Out Loud. And I'll show you, it's a very simple, I mean, I'm sure women can wear this, but it's a very simple rib. And it's a free pattern, like I said. There I am. Hello. There you go. Got the boy with the camera. So I think that's a great little hat that you can make for someone. I have another hat pattern. This is from My Recycled Bag. That's the website. And it's another crochet ribbed hat pattern. But this one's a little bit different. I really like the way this looks. See that? It's just a simple beanie with striping and a ribbed rim, I guess? I don't know. A men's infinity scarf. I love infinity scarves. I really, really like them because they're going nowhere. You wrap them around a couple times, they're going to stay put. This is a men's infinity scarf by Radiant Crochet. Again, another free pattern. The Radiant Crochet, I don't know if you can read that. Like I said, I will be putting all the links to this podcast pattern Palooza on my show notes. Really nice scarf coming your way from Heart, Hook, and Home. I thought that was really nice. This is a very well written pattern. It has nice pictures, and here's another view of that scarf. It looks like it has a really nice stitch pattern, and it's done with big twist chunky yarn. So this is a chunky yarn pattern. Fiberflux. You guys know how I love Fiberflux. Fiberflux is the website that put out the Rocky shawl that I did, the pattern for the Rocky shawl that I did. And they have this every man scarf. That's really pretty, huh? Different colors, a little pop of color there. That's from Fiberflux. Again, I'll put the link to this pattern in the show notes. And the only sweater, this is really I was looking at different sweaters, and I showed my husband the sweater, and he's like, yeah, maybe I could wear this. I think it's great. It's called the Father Pullover. This is a free pattern by Red Heart. I thought that was great. It's got, it doesn't look, since it's a free pattern, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by showing you this, but it seems like the construction is fairly simple. So I might give that a try. I almost like it for me. I think that's a nice simple sweater. And then I thought I would show you, and of course now it's missing. Is that it? Yeah. Then I thought I would show you a pattern for men's sock. Gerard was of the Hand Me Downs podcast that I talked about before, bought the Rohn Strong sock book, which I think is great, and I think he bought another sock book, and one of the things that he said was that he'll have to tweak those patterns so that he can make socks for himself, because there's not a lot of sock patterns for men. And if you go on Ravelry, which I did, you'll see that some of the socks are, I mean, they're more like house socks because they're made with worsted weight. It's not the same as making like a sock that you could wear with a shoe. But I did find a free pattern by Patents, which is like it looks like it is for the whole family. It's called Toe Up Socks. Really? We can't come up with a better name than that. Toe Up Socks, people. But it goes, if you look at the range that you can make on this sock. Children to men. So Gerard, here you go. Here's a sock pattern that might fit your bill that you're looking for. So that's Pattern Palooza for men, because I do have 2 Pattern Paloozas for women that I think that you guys are gonna like. I talked about her earlier. She is Tony. Her Instagram is TLY Crafts, I believe, on Instagram. She has the Free Yourself shawl. This is a paid pattern. This pattern, the next 2 patterns I'm going to show you are paid. So this is her Free Yourself shawl. I think that's so pretty. I'm never one to just crochet something in a solid color, and I tell you, this is the one design that I think I'm going to do a solid color and make it into a basic piece that I can wear in the winter. I really like the way that looks. The next shawl I want to share with you is one that I want to make because I'm so bummed out that I cannot make that Tunisian crochet shawl that I showed you, this one right here. I don't think my skill level is there to make this one, but I can make this next shawl I'm going to show you, and it's by a Dutch designer, Bernioli Designs. She is on Etsy. This is a paid pattern, and it's called the Julietta shawl. That is absolutely gorgeous. And I was checking out her Instagram, and you can see this shawl in a gray colored yarn, and it is stunning. Go check out her Instagram account. You will see some beautiful, beautiful shawls. So those are my 2 Pattern Paloozas for this episode that are paid, which is the Free Yourself shawl and the Julietta. I really like these 2. I hope I can make them soon. And by soon, I mean, I don't know, 3 or 4 months? I don't know. I have a lot going on, you guys. Christmas is around the corner, like I said. But then again, maybe some of these could be Christmas presents. But then I'm going to make them, and I want to keep them, and I'm not going to want to part with them. And you know how that goes. So, a lot of sorting out to do. And finally, I want to leave you with my other happy thing that happened to me, which is I won a giveaway. You guys don't even know. I have 0 luck when it comes to giveaways. I'm the person that will go to a raffle or whatever, you know, where you buy raffle tickets and things, and I will buy $20, whatever, some obscene amount of raffle tickets in the hopes that I will win. And so many times I am like sitting next to the person that says, oh yeah, I bought the one. Bam, they call their name and they win. I have 0 luck when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, you know, Instagram, they run a gazillion giveaways, and people tag me all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to win that. But you know what? I'm probably not going to, because I never win those things. But I won a giveaway. Tamara from Crafty Escapism reviewed the book Make Money Teaching Crochet by Marie Segaris, who is very well known in the crochet community. And she did a giveaway of her book, a digital copy of her book. And I won. I won! Yes! Finally, I win something. And I win something that's super cool, because I love the idea about learning how to I've taught crochet at a local yarn shop once. And I had a couple students, and the pattern was what I thought super simple, but really it was people who had, like, one lady had been a knitter for like all her life, and she wanted to try crochet, and she thought this was going to be the pattern that was, I mean, this, she thought this class was going to help her, but it was not really a beginning crochet class, so she struggled with it. But so yes, I'm interested in teaching how to crochet, but how much better would it be if you could make a little money doing it? So I won that giveaway, so thank you so much, Tamara, and also thank you to Marie Cigares for putting together that little giveaway, and very happy that I won that. So with that, I think I've shared everything I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate all your comments, all your likes, all your thumbs up. They mean a lot to me. I'm glad that you're enjoying what I'm doing, because I'm having a blast. And with that, let me read you your Jars of Joy quote. We'll see what we get to start the week. It says, "Don't worry about what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and do that. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive." And that is from Howard Thurman. That's your Jar of Joy quote for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I am Crochet Luna on Instagram, Ravelry. My blog is Crochet Luna. Facebook. Reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Have a great week. Crochet on and take care. Bye.